This is Keith McDaniel, and today is October the 15th, 2024. I'm at the studio here at Roane County High School, and today I'm talking with Jane Pickel. Miss Pickel, let's start out with, tell me where you were born and raised.
I was born in Nashville, Tennessee.
What year was that?
1930.
1930, okay. Tell me about your family. Tell me about your mom and dad, if you had any siblings. Tell me about your mother and your father.
Well, my father was a banker with First American, and my mother was just a homemaker.
Did you have any brothers or sisters?
I had one brother.
Okay. How did you end up in Kingston?
I married Tom.
Okay. When was that? When was that? What year?
I have to start, I think.
To 1951.
Okay. In 1951? How did you meet him?
Going to, he came down to go to Vanderbilt and was living with his father there in Donaldson, and we met. The transportation there was a little more to be desired. Bus ran once an hour to Nashville, and most people used it because of the gasoline and tires. And,
How old were you when you met him? How old were you when you met him?
18.
You were 18? Were you still in school? Or were you working?
No, I had just graduated.
Just from high school? Where did you go to high school?
To Donaldson.
Okay.
And then I went and graduated from Ward Belmont. It was a girls' school then.
So you went to Ward Belmont for college?
Yes.
What did you get your degree in?
University of Tennessee.
Okay. What was your degree in?
I guess you'd call it fine arts.
Okay. All right. So you went to Ward Belmont. Is it the same location where it is now?
Yes.
I went to Belmont the first 2 years I went to college. That's where when I graduated high school, I went to Belmont. That same spot. So you met your husband, okay, and when he graduated, were you all married by then? No. No. Okay. So he was in banking in Nashville.
I worked for the Treasury Department at Knoxville, and
okay. Is that how you met him, when you worked at the Treasury Department?
no, we met when he came down to go to school.
Okay. All right. So how did you all end up in Kingston?
Well, this is his native territory.
Mm-hmm.
He was born and raised. He was born in a house that they tore down to build the courthouse.
And his mother, what was her name?
May
Okay,
Jackson.
okay, all right. When you all came to Kingston, tell me about that. Where did he work, and where did you all live?
Well, we had a house out on just out of town, about two or 3 miles. And at first I didn't work, and then when I registered law at school, they asked me would I substitute, and I said I'd try, give it a whirl, and ended up full time instead of subbing.
Oh, is that right? Where did you teach? Here at the high school, the elementary school?
At the elementary school.
Okay. And was that here in this building that we're in now? Was it in this building? Was it here?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So when you ended up working full-time teaching, what did you teach? What did you teach?
Mostly first grade.
Okay.
I taught music and art a couple of years. And I guess they ran out of money. And so I ended up as a first grade teacher.
How long did you teach?
I guess close to 30 years.
Is that right? Wow. So what was life like in Kingston during those days? What do you remember about living here and working here in Kingston?
Well, it was a great place to raise children, raise your family. And the historical aspects of living in Kingston were great, I thought.
What do you mean by that?
Well, there was so much history involved.
Mm-hmm.
And
Can you give me an example of the history that you're talking about?
well, I guess the fort and Southwest Point stick in your mind when you, so far as historical.
You might ask about Bethel.
Hmm?
You might ask about Bethel Presbyterian.
Yeah, tell me about Bethel Presbyterian Church. How were you involved with that?
My family have been Presbyterians and then heavily involved in church for 500 years.
Wow.
And in fact, my brother wanted to make a trip before he passed away a couple of years ago, and to Scotland to see the former. I was a Dunlap, and he wanted to see Castle Dunlap.
Now, when you moved here, was the church there? Was Bethel there, or did?
Yes.
Okay.
I believe Bethel was the second oldest, am I not right?
Yes.
Second oldest church. in the area.
Okay,
Post Oak was the oldest.
okay.
And
So when you were in Kingston, you were teaching, what did your husband do? What was your husband's job in Kingston?
still didn't
It's
understand.
okay. What did your husband do for a living?
Oh, he worked at Oak Ridge.
Oh, did he? Okay, all right. What were some of the things that you all got involved in Kingston, in the community?
Well, Tom was a Rotarian and was heavily involved with it.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, his job. And,
Were there other things in the community that you all got involved in? Other groups or organizations?
no, I don't think so. We weren't clubbers.
Oh, okay. All right. Okay. How has Kingston changed over the years?
It really, overall, it hadn't changed all that much. I laughed when the first time he brought me to Kingston, it was night, and he would drive around through town in one direction through the red light, and then he'd circle around, come in another way, and then he'd circle around and come in another way, and I thought Kingston was a big place. I saw all those red lights, and it was all the same light.
All the same light. What were some of your favorite places to go? I mean, to shop or to eat or to do in Kingston?
Sports, anything that had to do with football or basketball. Tom his senior year was captain of the basketball and football teams.
Mm-hmm.
And we attended as many as possible, and sat in the same seats at football games.
I bet that was typical of a lot of people, wasn't it? Sat in the same seats at the games and sat in the same seats at church. I guess people got used to that, didn't they? What was it about, you said earlier that Kingston was a great place to raise kids. What do you mean by that?
Well, if they wanted to participate in something, there was something there for them to do.
Mm-hmm.
And they always were active in church activities. And we felt comfortable, safe, letting them go to things like that.
Mm-hmm. It's kind of like small town culture. It's different now than it used to be. You would let the kids just go out and go, and you wouldn't worry about them that much, would you? Now, you hardly let them out of the house, right?
I don't know, because I don't have any to let out of the house.
Right. Now, how many children do you have?
Two.
Tom?
Three.
Three? Okay. What are their names?
Tom and Laura and Margaret.
Okay. All right. And do they all live here? Do they all live in Kingston?
Yes.
Okay. So I guess it was a good enough place to be raised that they didn't want to go anywhere after they grew up. Living here a long time, I'm sure you've made some good friends. Who were some of you and your husband's best friends here in Kingston?
Well, most of those are gone now.
Mm-hmm. Can you tell me about some of them?
Well, George Warlick
Mm-hmm.
and his wife, and most of them attended Rotary and Bethel,
Mm-hmm.
and
Did your husband work with George?
yes, with the Scouts and sports,
Mm-hmm.
football.
Now, did your husband work with George in Oak Ridge?
Did he work?
Did he work with him in Oak Ridge?
Yes.
Because I interviewed George before he passed away a number of years ago. So he lived over near the subdivision, I don't know what it's called, near the interstate there, I believe, as I recall. Isn't that right, Laura?
I believe so.
I believe so. Okay. What else do you want to talk about Kingston, about living in Kingston over the years? I know you've seen lots of changes, but you said Kingston's pretty much stayed the same in your mind.
I think it has pretty much stayed.
Mm-hmm. What have you always liked the fact that it was small and well, I don't want to say not a lot of progress, but you know, it didn't blow up like West Knoxville did or Farragut.
It stayed pretty much the same.
Mm-hmm. When you taught, do you remember some of the teachers or the principals that you worked with? Do you remember their names?
Oh, yeah.
Tell me about some of those folks.
When I first started, Ernest Brake was the principal. And the kids were always looking for something to do to get in trouble so they could go sit in Mr. Brake's lap. When one of them got sent to the office, they ended up in his lap. And
Let me ask you a question about when you were a teacher. How involved were parents in their children's education? Were they very involved?
I think so.
Mm-hmm. What were some of your big challenges for teaching?
Well, probably the lack of money and to buy things for the school, for the children.
Laura, what else should I ask you?
Well, you might go back to the teachers. It's hard to
Okay.
be more specific about which teachers.
Okay. Yeah, who were some of the teachers that had an impact on you that you taught with? that maybe taught you some things?
She was probably the mentor to him.
Yeah, right. Or who did you help? What young teachers did you help?
Young teachers. Well, most of them that I helped are either passed away or retired.
Mm-hmm.
Pat Gallion.
Who?
Pat Gallion.
Pat Youngin.
Gallion.
Gallion, Pat Gallion.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Patsy Blunt.
Patsy Blunt.
Mm-hmm.
Patsy Blunt.
Debbie Williams, still teaching.
Mm-hmm.
She taught with Flo Evans. Flo Evans was Dick's mama.
Okay. Do you teach with Flo Evans?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right.
Flo and Jean were two of our best friends.
What else can you talk about, recall?
Well, she was active when, particularly Margaret, but we were all in the band, and she was active with the band
Okay.
here with the Roane County High School Band.
Did you, when your kids were in the band, were you active in supporting that and the helping with the band?
Yeah, I think I rode every band bus for about 8 years.
Do you remember who the band director was?
Gerald Ross.
Gerald Ross was the band director, okay, during that time. Did you help with like the band fundraising and things such as that?
Yeah, we bought some uniforms one year when they didn't have any.
Mm-hmm.
And we went on lots of trips with them. We went to Mexico and.
Mm-hmm. I'll tell you a story about the band. My mother, Aline McDaniel, was a seamstress, and we lived next door to C.R. Lane in Cherokee Hills. And one of his daughters was a majorette with the band. And I don't remember if it was maybe Harriet, and there was another one, I don't remember. But they asked her to make their majorette outfits, and it was these one-piece, looked like a one-piece swimming suit, but it was covered with red sequins. And my mother hand-stitched every individual red sequins, and there were like 8 majorettes at the time. So she made those uniforms for them. And that had to be in the early 70s, I would imagine, late 60s, early 70s, something like that.
Mama was an excellent high school student. She graduated in 3 years as the top of her class.
Really?
She won the state poetry contest.
Okay, all right.
So she was an excellent student.
Tell me about going to high school. What was high school like for you going to school? I understand you are an excellent student.
Well, I took everything there was to take in school. Of course, course, we didn't have all that many offerings at that time. And I finished in 3 years because I didn't have anything else to take. And
Tell me about the poetry contest you won.
the what?
The poetry contest. Tell me about that. The state poetry contest.
Well, I entered it and started in elementary school with writing poetry, and I won a couple of years.
Is that something you kept up through the years? Did you continue writing poetry?
No,
No?
I can't write much of anything anymore. I can't see.
When she worked with the banking system, she busted an embezzlement ring and won great recognition for that in Nashville.
Really?
She solved that problem
Okay.
in bookkeeping.
Okay. So, Laura said when you worked in the banking industry,
I worked in the Treasury Department,
Treasury Department,
for National Life.
okay? Tell me about how you busted an embezzlement scheme.
How what?
How you broke up, how you discovered that someone was embezzling.
Well, I worked as an auditor on her books, and it was obvious that she was hiding checks from one month to the next, wasn't really depositing, and when I went to my superiors and gave them what evidence I had, and I think she was prosecuted. And I always felt bad about that.
At that time, she was also doing bookkeeping for all of the music industry, the people who were controlled by the life and casualty insurance company. Lots of people, lots of stars.
Right. So while you were working for that company, one of the things that you also did is you also worked with lots of music industry people, didn't you? Mm. Did you ever meet any of those famous artists?
Yeah. And we were active, of course, during the war. I rolled bandages and mailed out ration books and processed those, and worked as a junior air raid warden with my dad as full-time warden.
I can't remember. You might ask Ken who she...
We lived at the end of the main runway in the Nashville airport. And all during the war, planes took off every minute. And it was kind of a noisy place.
I bet. I bet.
They had maneuvers in our backyard.
Huh. All right. Is there anything else? Okay. Is there anything else you want to tell me about living in Kingston?
still think it's a great place to raise kids. And, right now, I've got some fine youngsters, grandchildren, great-grandchildren.
Mm-hmm. Are you still active at Bethel, at the church?
Yes, active.
I guess that's important to you, isn't it?
It is.
Mm-hmm. So if you were born in 1930, that would make you 93, 94?
93.
93? You plan on making it to 100?
I'm planning on it.
Well, good for you. I'm sure you will. Just keep it up. Just keep it up. Well, thank you for coming in to talk to me. I appreciate it.